Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back to Awakened Wellness with Milen Rayab, MD, right here on Dream Vision 7 Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Milen, and today we're discussing natural and safe options to boost libido. So we had a texted question at the commercial break, and the question is, what if your low sex drive is due to vaginal dryness? So for that, we would want to look at the causes of the vaginal dryness. Very often it can be hormonal. So the lack of estrogen probably being the most common cause. So if that were the case, then we would prescribe estrogen replacement therapy after properly checking your levels inside of the cells. So if we did confirm that the estrogen levels were low, we would replace the estrogen. And in integrative medicine, we use two different types of estrogen products. One is the active form of estrogen called estradiol, and that is the natural active form of estrogen in the human body. And then we use a metabolite of estrogen called estriol. And estriol is actually extremely powerful for vaginal dryness and vaginal symptoms because it has a very high affinity for the vaginal cells. So it tends to bind in the vagina even more strongly than estradiol. So we combine those two together and replace low estrogen. Now, if you have your uterus intact, if you have not had a hysterectomy, then it's critically important to also add progesterone to that regimen so that the estrogen and progesterone is balanced. If you use estrogen alone, you can increase your risk of potentially cancers down the road. Unopposed estrogen can lead to cancer. So it's extremely important to have both hormones. If you have had a hysterectomy, in conventional medicine, we would only prescribe estrogen. However, in integrative medicine, we also balance with progesterone because we believe that estrogen and progesterone needs to be balanced throughout the body, whereas in the conventional model, we believe that if there's no uterus present to become cancerous, then we don't need to add the progesterone. However, newer studies are showing that that's not really the case. Estrogen and progesterone are used in just about every cell of the body, and if they're not balanced in those cells, diseases can develop down the road. And so regardless of whether you've had a hysterectomy, in integrative medicine, we would balance your hormones with estrogen and progesterone and any other hormones that you may need. Whereas in the conventional model, the estrogen and the progesterone would be prescribed in the case of having a uterus in place and just estrogen in the case of not having a uterus in place. So if you're under my care, I would check all your hormones and I would prescribe whatever is appropriate. And then I would balance that at the same time with proper nutrition. Hormones don't work by themselves. So to fix the vaginal dryness, the hormones would treat that symptom very quickly. However, if you're looking for long-term health, then you want to balance all hormones as well as nutrition. So I hope that helps to answer your question. And thank you for that question. That was a great question. And vaginal dryness is not a menopausal issue alone. I see many, many women, sometimes even in their 30s, who have vaginal dryness because, again, chronic stress does a lot to the body. And you don't have to wait for menopause to endure chronic stress. And so chronic stress also lowers hormone levels. So this is not just an isolated issue for menopausal women. We're seeing it increasingly in premenopausal women. And we would treat it the same way. We would look at the levels. We would surround it with proper nutrition. And we would balance the hormones. So thank you so much for that question. So now going to safe and natural options to boost libido. So if you can be under the care of an integrative medical physician, we would be looking at your hormones, we would be looking at nutrition very specifically by testing for that. So we would test for hormones, we would test for your nutrition status. I prefer to use cellular-based testing because I believe that it more accurately reflects inside the cells where the body works from, as opposed to blood work, which is kind of transporting things from one set of cells to another set of cells, and it's not really telling us what's functioning inside the cells. So I like to look inside the cells for hormone levels. I like to look inside the cells for nutrition levels. And those tests are very accurate, very easy to obtain, and cost-effective. They're actually much cheaper than getting conventional testing done. And they give you better information, in my opinion. So that's number one on the list, looking at doing proper testing. If you don't have the ability to see an integrative medical doctor because there's not one around you, some of the tips that I recommend are things that would increase blood flow. So the first thing that increases blood flow is water. Again, I'm always talking about hydration with my clients, and I love talking about living water, that fourth phase of water. That's so critically important for body function, that kind of quantum water, I like to call it. The water inside the body has a different configuration than it does in more artificial places, like our tap water, for example, would be H2O, whereas inside the body, that living water is H3O2. So we can make living water ourselves with our intention. Dr. Emoto famously did those studies. There have been studies on plants as well, because plants are mostly made of water, just as we are mostly made of water, and speaking nicely to your plants helps them to grow and thrive. And so speaking nicely to our water helps it to convert to living water. And so it's going into the body in its freshest, most helpful state to increase blood flow, to flush out toxins, and to make the body much more vibrant and healthy. So Dr. Emoto realized that the two words that did this the most, created living water, were love and gratitude. So blessing our water and blessing our food is critically important as a natural and safe option to boost libido, because it helps increase blood flow. Number two, exercise. Exercise is another blood-moving type of activity, and that helps to increase blood flow throughout the body, helps to eliminate toxins. Make sure that the exercise is appropriate for your level of activity and your level of health. Approximately 30 minutes of moderate exercise daily is highly recommended. We make very specific exercise recommendations at the office, depending on the patient's metabolism and their circumstances. But generally speaking, about 30 minutes a day of moderate exercise, whether it's a brisk walk, resistance training, Pilates, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong. Those are all excellent exercises that will help boost libido. Nutrition. So again, ideally, you'd want to have your nutrition assessed. You may even want to see a registered dietitian to look at the foods that you're eating to see if you can maximize your nutrition through your food. Some foods that are very helpful to boost libido would be yang-boosting foods, especially if you feel cold all the time. Warming foods help boost libido. So spices, cayenne pepper, black pepper, garlic, curry, turmeric. These are all kind of spicy yang boosters. Again, this is if you feel cold. And again, if your tongue's a little bit pale, a little bit wet, you may have a yang deficiency. So spicing up your foods would be a good thing to do. So a lot of soups, a lot of stews, especially if you're in colder climates. Soups and stews, especially when they're cooked for a significant period of time, will help really to boost yang, especially if you throw some spices in there. If you're blood deficient, then lots of green leafy vegetables, bone broth, those are all really great nutritional boosters for blood deficiency. And again, you'll know you're blood deficient if you feel a little dizzy, you have floaters in your vision. Your tongue may be a little pale as well and thin, and that's a sign of blood deficiency. So these are some of the things that you can do to naturally boost your libido. And the last piece of advice is sleep, 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 sleep. We need a good 8, sometimes 9 hours of sleep. If you're under a lot of chronic stress and you're feeling tired, 9 hours a day is highly recommended, with mid-afternoon naps, cat naps, power naps. If you can't sleep, at least lay down on a yoga mat with your feet elevated just to bring blood back to your core. And that helps to really regenerate energy and boost libido as well. So that's all the time we have for our show today, and I hope that you've gotten some valuable information. I'm so blessed to be here to serve and to give as much of the amazing knowledge that's been imparted to me over the 2 decades that I've been blessed to be a physician. So thank you for joining us today on Awakened Wellness with Mylène Riobe, MD. Be sure to listen in. We'll be live again in 2 Tuesdays from today, and you can listen to our archive shows as well. So we're live on every first and third Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. right here on Dream Vision 7 Radio. Our archive shows are available on the second and fourth Tuesdays at 11 a.m. and every Tuesday at 11 p.m. So thanks for joining me. Many, many blessings until next time. Thank you.
Join us next time on Awakened Wellness with Mylène Riobe, MD, to learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness. Awakened Wellness airs every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern Time, with live shows on the first and third Tuesday mornings of each month. Meanwhile, you can join our Facebook page at facebook.com/awakenedwellness8 and let us know what you'd like to discuss on future episodes. Dr. Mylène is the medical director of the Riobe Institute of Integrative Medicine in Jupiter, Florida. For more information, visit riobeintegrativemedicine.com. This show is part of the Dream Vision 7 Radio Network.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.